film fit into the overall MCU timeline?
Captain America Brave New World takes place about 2 years after The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Captain America has been working with the U.S. government in his capacity as Captain America, helping them to take on various international threats. And I think moving forward, what you'll see is Captain America's story and the story in the Thunderbolts coming out in May of this year are starting to drive towards what will become Avengers Doomsday.
What themes are being explored in this film?
So Captain America Brave New World explores the themes of legacy, and whether or not people can change. You know, Sam Wilson is taking on the mantle of Captain America at the same time that Thaddeus Ross is taking on the mantle of the American president. And both men are going to have to figure out whether or not they are worthy of those mantles. And both men, to different degrees, have skeletons in their closet they must contend with in order to determine whether or not they are worthy of these titles. And some of those skeletons are emotional, and some come in a very physical form.
How is Sam Wilson similar to Steve Rogers' Captain America, and how does he differ?
Sam Wilson is similar to Steve Rogers in that both men lead with integrity, and both men understand that self-sacrifice is necessary sometimes for the greater good. But the truth is Sam Wilson's a human, and Steve Rogers was a super soldier. So the way that Steve Rogers deals with threats tends to be as a soldier first. You know, he leads with his fists, he leads by example, whereas Sam started as a counselor for Army vets. So he leads with empathy and compassion, and he tries to solve problems if he can by talking it out, and then the physical action becomes sort of his last resort. Sam also has the frailty of being human, so when he's in danger, it's real mortal danger. And the threats he faces in this film, to some degree, are bigger than some of the threats Steve ever had to face.
And on that same note, Joaquin Torres as Sam Wilson versus the Falcon.
So
Falcon.
Joaquin Torres' version of the Falcon is different than Sam Wilson's because Joaquin didn't have the same amount of training that Sam had as a pararescue. If you remember in Captain America the Winter Soldier, we learned that Sam Wilson was pararescue. He had the XO-7 wings out in the field. So he had some experience before he started working alongside Captain America. In this film, we'll learn that Joaquin Torres is just taking on the mantle of the Falcon. So he's a little bit newer to it. He hasn't had that same sense of loss that Sam had when his partner was killed. And so Joaquin feels very much like an eager beaver trying to prove that he's a hero. And sometimes that can get him into trouble.
How did you go about tapping Julius Ona to helm?
When we were building this film, we realized we wanted it to sit within the pantheon of the political thriller genre, and the filmmaker we thought was best suited to do that was Julius Ona, partially because we'd seen his film Loose, which is a paranoid thriller that's very character-driven, that has great performances, and in meeting with Julius, we realized the touchstones we liked for the movie, including The Parallax View and Day of the Jackal, were some of his favorite movies. So it became kind of a natural outgrowth of different conversations, and what we found along the way is Julius sort of understood Sam's character journey of taking on this mantle, because frankly, being a filmmaker for a Marvel film, you do feel like you're taking on the mantle of a franchise, and it can be daunting. And so Julius was able to pour some of that emotion into the way that he expressed Sam Wilson as a character.
Tell us about the cast, those who are reprising from previous roles, and then those that are new to the MCU.
Captain America Brave New World has a really expansive cast that has some amazing returning characters and some new faces. Returning to the MCU are Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, also from that show, and of course Tim Blake Nelson from 2008's Incredible Hulk. Some of the new faces that I think people are going to really enjoy include Harrison Ford taking on the role of Thaddeus Ross from the late great William Hurt, Shira Haas's Ruth Bat-Saraf, an amazing agent within the federal government who has some secrets of her own, and Zosha Rockmore, who plays Layla Taylor, the head of President Ross's security detail. It's a really amazing cast. Oh, and let us not forget Giancarlo Esposito as a Sidewinder, the head of Serpent. So it's a really cool cast. They have amazing chemistry together, and it was a joy to work with them.
Great. We have one more question.
Yep.
So, this is a big one.
Sure.
What are you excited for audiences to experience when they see this film?
I'm excited for audiences to experience a return to form into the political thriller genre in Captain America Brave New World, but also to meet a new Red Hulk. You know, we've had a couple of years of Mark Ruffalo's Smart Hulk, who's an amazing character, expressed by an amazing performer. But this Red Hulk isn't as friendly as that Smart Hulk. And so we get some of that really fun Hulk action that I think audiences are aching for. We have some aerial sequences unlike anything we've ever tried. And there's some cool cameos and surprises there along the way for fans.
What was your vision for the film, and how did you approach realizing it?
You know, my vision for this film was to tell a story that the emotional and thematic core was about empathy, and to do it in a way that felt really, really grounded. So in terms of achieving it, it was about performance and it was about the visual storytelling. You know, the actors came in and we did rehearsal in the beginning of the process and really tried to home in on the emotional lives of these characters, the psychological lives. And it was great working with Anthony and Harrison and Danny and the entire cast to really create as an authentic of an emotional life for these characters. And then the other thing was the style. You know, I wanted this film to feel really grounded and textured. So we used classic C-series lenses and we incorporated a lot of filmic looks. We put grain and gate weave and halation. The camera itself was very controlled to create a sense of menace and tension for a kind of political paranoid thriller. And all those things came together to make something that I felt would honor the previous Captain America movies, but be very singular to Sam and his emotional journey in this film.
What kind of research did you do, and where did you find inspiration?
You know, I did a ton of research. The research that I did in this film to be able to tell the story, first of all, started cinematically. I wanted to look at other genre comps that were important for this film. So movies like The Day of the Jackal, movies like Point Blank, movies like Les Samurai. Then of course you want to go back and you want to do everything that makes sure you honor the Marvel stories. So I was looking at old Marvel serials, the original Captain America serials from 1944. The fact that this character has been around for 81 years is incredible. I went back and rewatched the movies, the TV shows. I looked at publishing and tried to find as many details. One of the most fun things was looking at the Marvel handbook. It's a great handbook that has all these details about adamantium, about all these esoteric things related to the universe, because you never know where you might find something surprising that leads to a moment of authenticity or something that's just a detail that's helpful in the storytelling. I'm a preparation junkie, so it was really fun to do that.
What is the tone of the film?
You know, the tone of the film is one of paranoia and tension. You never know what's going to happen next. As I said, it was leaning into a grounded thriller, so that's why I had these very specific comps of grounded thrillers. You want to believe in this world, but you also want to be at the edge of your seat. So it was really about making sure that visually, storytelling-wise, and performance-wise, everything stayed coherent. So we had to be very disciplined with costuming. We had to be very disciplined with props. We had to be very disciplined with our environments and sets. All those things need to feel like you have one foot on the ground rather, but then at the same time, you need to keep it open for the fantastic to happen so that when you have these heightened characters like a Red Hulk, or when Sam spreads those Wakandan wings, it still feels like it can fit in the world that's being created.
Speaking of Red Hulk, how does Red Hulk fit into the story?
You know, Red Hulk fits into this story because he is part of what Thaddeus Ross is running away from. In this film, Thaddeus now is redefining himself. In the past, he used to be Thunderbolt Ross. He was known for his temper, his anger, for hunting Hulks, for hunting, Bruce Banner, and he also became estranged from his daughter, Betty Ross. Well, this story is about him trying to reconnect with her and trying to redefine himself as an elder statesman, as a diplomat. And the Red Hulk becomes a manifestation of the past he's running away from. It becomes, something of his backsliding. So it was great to be able to tell a story that had a Rage Hulk in it as an expression of Thaddeus and his journey. And you put that opposite Sam, and the mistrust that is had between Sam and Thaddeus then extends to these characters as Captain America and the Red Hulk, and it creates this tension that is really powerful, both from an action standpoint, from a character standpoint, but also thematically. So it was really exciting to have Red Hulk in this film.
What does Anthony Mackie bring to his characterization of the Captain America?
Anthony Mackie brings to Captain America everything that you would dream of. He brings this incredible humanity and relatability. He's so authentic in a way that is effortless. You just believe this guy on screen. He's funny, he's charming, but most of all, he's human. And that human component of him is so critical to believe in Sam and to understand the superpower of his empathy, his desire to care for people, his desire to see the good in each other. And I saw that in Mackie every day. He would come to set and he would shake everybody's hands before he started to work. Whether it was PA, producer, doesn't matter. He wanted to make everybody feel at home and like they belonged, and he was such a great partner to me as a director. So, you know, I loved working with him.
What was your overall goal to achieve with production design and the look of the film?
You know, my overall goal to achieve the production design and the look of the film was to create that grounded aesthetic, but also to visually tell the story in a way that enhanced its themes. So one of the things, for example, that I asked the production designer and everybody involved in designing the film to do is to remove all red. And that was something that was really important. I wanted to allow this entrance of Red Hulk in this film to be a real intrusion in the film. So the movie is very colorful, but by pulling that out of the palette, it creates a bit of a chilliness in the storytelling as well, so that when Red Hulk comes in, it feels like the temperature is increased. And I was able to selectively use red as a way to hint that as we were building forward in the filmmaking. So, you know, the production designer actually created a hat for me that says "Deny Red," because I had said the words "Deny Red" once, but everybody embraced that. So did our set decorators, so did our costume designer, so did our visual effects supervisors. And then that also led to this idea of empathy, because as the movie got more intense, it also meant that Sam has to work harder to reach and connect to everybody around him, especially Thaddeus Ross. So it's a great way to use the visual storytelling to enhance theme and enhance character.
Tell us what the audience should expect from the action of the film.
You know, the audience should expect action that is incredibly thrilling and visceral and surprising. You know, again, it's always about character. From the very beginning, I had this obsession with Sam Wilson and Anthony Mackie using a brick to take somebody out. But for me, as cool as that was, it was an opportunity to see him be resourceful in the moment, to get scrappy, to improvise, because that's what a man who doesn't have a conventional set of superpowers would have to do. And then at the same time, when the movie gets more heightened, I wanted to make sure that it felt cohesive with the rest of the film, the style of this paranoid political thriller with controlled camera movement, with very precise framing. And that ended up being something that the visual effects artists and supervisors, people from DD, people from Weta also embrace, and our great team working on the film. And it just feels like one movie that has a continuous flow to it that's really elegant and intense and surprising. And when you get to the aerial sequences, when you get to Red Hulk, you'll be at the edge of your seat, but you'll feel a real emotional connection to all the characters in the film.
Where do we find Joaquin Torres at the beginning of the film?
Where we find Joaquin Torres at the beginning of the film? You find him a couple years from when we last saw him on Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you see him as eager as before, a little bit more well established within his dynamic with Sam. His feet not on the ground. He's still very eager to impress and to kind of show his skills. And so you see someone that is trying to find every opportunity to prove himself.
How would you describe the relationship between Sam and Joaquin?
How I would describe the relationship between Sam and Joaquin? I'd say chaotic and fun and loving. It's a big brother little brother relationship where you get to see people that further have established a relationship and know each other's buttons. There is moments that even on set, whether we're in the scene or outside of a scene, I was just so happy to be there and excited and knowing like how to press Anthony's buttons, but then also seeing him just completely roll his eyes. But like it's a really fun dynamic that I think we're both weirdly very similar and very different at the same time, and the similarities and differences have like honestly helped us like form a really awesome bond. And he's now giving me real estate advice, and so it's I look up to him and I think he's fully a Renaissance man, from being a phenomenal actor and craftsman to everything he does outside.
Touched on this already, but what was it like working with Anthony Mackie on his first film as Captain America?
What it was like working with Anthony Mackie. It was every day was a discovery of across the board, honestly, everything from like days that were just fun to see how someone leads a movie of this size and to then also seeing how someone works through nuanced scenes, understanding the big picture of the film, and everyone has their own process and works through scenes differently, but also watching someone that I think we kind of have taken Anthony for granted, that this phenomenal Juilliard actor that for years has done amazing job after amazing job, and so finally getting to see him craft from this place that there's full agency and power within his voice, and he really gets to sculpt and guide this with Julius. I think that was aspirational, and so maybe one day I'll be there in the same way. And so it's just trying to take all these nuggets from him.
Tell us about Falcon's new suit and how you felt the first time you put it on.
Falcon's new suit and how I felt the first time I put it on. Well, it was, I feel like I put it on for the first time like 50 times. There was always something new or a different modification, but by the time it all came together, it was like 10 minutes before filming a scene. And so it was like final approvals. They had just painted it fully finally, and I showed it to Julius and the producers, and they're like, all right, cool, go out there. And so it was a slow build-up, but I think because they had given me the wings in the show years ago, I was just kind of like, come on, guys, let's go. Let's give me this suit. But it was a big pinch me moment. I have so many selfies of in lunch that day where I kept the suit on, and I was like, but it was a dream come true, and I think, dream come true.
What impressed you most about the production design of the film?
The art design was phenomenal, like top down. But there was this one place, and it might be in the trailer actually, but the attention to absolute detail in places that you're never even going to see in the movie, that like the tile, and the tile outside in the second room that's not even shown. From the documents that are in some of these places, there's like every square millimeter was thought of, and I just remember thinking, I'm like, this is like, they should never take this down and move this into the MoMA, because it's some of the most attention to detail of a place that exists in the studio. I was blown away.
Tell us about wire work that you did for the flight scenes, and how was that involved? What was involved with that?
Wire work. Wire work. So it was a process of, first of all, acclimation, because I don't think it's normal to fall at a speed that's not free fall. So like it might have been easier like to adjust to free fall, whereas wire work, there is a specific speed that is set and different levels of that. So we basically would get hooked up, and there's different heights that they'd drop us from, and they'd acclimate us to it by first dropping us like at a slow pace. So you feel it and then you land. Then speeding up and speeding up and speeding it up. So by the time that we are shooting on the day, we get to do it as high as possible, as fast as possible, and really be flung in there. And so there's this one scene, spoilers, but there's this one scene where it all comes together and different departments just like, and it'll, in the film, it'll feel like such a subtle moment, but it was a layered stunt that I think I was blown away by how we were able to pull that off. But it's all because of the amount of wire work we did.
One more question. What can fans look forward to when they see this?
Joaquin Torres. No, I'm kidding. Fans can look forward to when they see this film is, I think it's taking them back to the Marvel that got us all addicted, right? It's capturing magic in the bottle. It is being able to ground something to a world that is similar to ours, but is also outside of ours. And when you're able to justify and then build out from there, from watching a Red Hulk to Captain America and Falcon taken to the skies, you lean forward and you're completely absorbed and you suspend disbelief, and there's a moment where you realize just like movie magic and how it comes together. And I hope we captured it, and I hope that when people go to the theaters and they watch this, they walk away with that same feeling, because it really, through Julius's leadership, we were able to, I think, accomplish a really amazing thriller that is action-packed and filled with emotion and heart. And so, yeah, enjoy.
What attracted you to the part and made you want to play Ruth?
Uh, what attracted me to the part? It's like, where do you have an hour? I mean, first of all, being part of the MCU world, it's such a dream. You know, it's bigger than a dream. Like it's I never thought about that, and it's such a big honor, and I'm so excited to be part of it. And Ruth, I mean, Ruth is such, she's an ex-Black Widow, right? She works for the US government, close to Ross, the legend Harrison Ford. And I think what's so special about her for me is that she's like, first of all, such a badass, super tough, super strong, super mission oriented, straightforward, no BS, right? Eyes on the ball, as I say. But at the same time, that's my interpretation because of her past, she has a lot of understanding to the ability of people to change. So I think this kind of like combination of this character made me very excited to play and to approach. And also there was just some scenes that I was like, I couldn't wait to take part of and to do. So I mean, so many reasons that I was just drawn immediately to Ruth and to this project in general.
You touched on this a little bit, but describe Ruth as her character and how she fits into the story.
Okay. So Ruth Batsaraf, as I mentioned, she is an ex-Black Widow. She works for the US government very closely to our the amazing Harrison Ford, to Ross, the president. And I cannot say much, right? No spoilers, but she joins kind of like Sam's journey within this film, kind of like him trying to solve this international crisis that's being unfolded through the film. And she is a true badass. You don't want to mess with her. And yeah, there are some really exciting scenes that I cannot wait for the fans to watch.
What ways do you relate to her?
Wow. In what ways do I relate to her? Listen, she's very different. The character is very different for me, definitely. I mean, her past and everything is so different and complex and dark in a way, you know, the way I see it. Um, I think her ability to kind of like see people and their ability to change, you know, and to go through transformation, which I also think it's such a big part of the film and its message. That's something that I really support and resonate with. At least I hope so. So yeah.
So, what was your experience working with Anthony Mackie?
Ah, wow. Mackie, never boring with Anthony Mackie. Never, never. Super fun. You know, I always say like the energy of the lead on any set is it's so important because the energy he brings really resonate and you get that even if you're his partner, scene partner, or the crew, it's really affected by it. And he was so funny, so nice, so down to earth. Like it's like for me, it's the first time doing an MCU project film, and I was like a bit nervous and excited in the beginning, but right from the moment I met him and him making me, and I think everyone feels so comfortable, it was so welcoming and it felt so natural. So yeah, I'm very grateful for him for that, for sure. And he's also like super funny, so it was always fun, super funny, super funny. Cut the check, right? Yeah.
What impressed you most about the production design?
Wow. So many things. I remember every day was like shocking and exciting for me to see what they do, the production design and how they build things. And I remember every day was just like, wow, wow. And there was one scene that's like a big, big one, you know, of like a lot of actors, a lot of people. And I remember just standing there because every day you film and you're busy and you have like stunt rehearsal and trainings, everything is going on. And then I remember just having one scene that I was just standing, watching their work and everyone's work and just being in awe and understanding what I take part of and how much attention to the tiniest detail they take care of and how all the departments work together. incredible. And I think you can see it in the film as well. It's just really, yeah, breathtaking and really a learning experience for me as an actress as well to be on this set for sure.
You mentioned the stunt work. What kind of training did you have to prepare for the role?
We had a lot of training for this role. I started 2 to 3 months before coming to Atlanta where we filmed it, 5 times a week training, also like a certain diet to gain some weight and muscles. And I always say I love sport, I love working out, but this was a whole new level and scale that I gained. And then also when we arrived to Atlanta, I had a lot of stunt rehearsals, working for my fight scenes because some of it I did myself. So it was so much fun, and also it really helped me to get into the world and the character because her physicality is such a big part of the role and who she is. So even for the acting, even for the way I held myself and walked, it really, really was a major part of it, I think. Yeah.
You talked about enjoying the experience of being part of the film and how much you liked it. What was something that most stood out? What did you like the most?
Oh, I really enjoy the people, to be very, very honest. It's just the cast, but also the crew was just like the best people to wake up in the morning, long days, physical days sometimes. Sometimes when you're not filming, you go to do the physical work. Like always, there's always something because it's such a big thing. And I also wanted to be so prepared. So also like being able to wake up and work just with the best people, most supportive. And also what really surprised me is how collaborative it was. You don't know. It's such a big world, the MCU world, that you don't know how much me is like my part I can say, and they really listened if I had questions or idea or suggestions or like I don't know. They were so open, and it just made it the best, to be honest, and really helped everything else, I think. Yeah.
We have one more question, and this is a good one. What do you think fans can look forward to when they see the film?
Wow, I think the fans will be very excited for this film. Listen, there are amazing, crazy, oh my God. I mean, we have the Red Hulk, right? There are so amazing, like action sequences, crazy thing to expect. And at the same time, there is such a beautiful, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I saw the film only a few days ago, so it's very fresh, and I'm so moved by it until now because it's only a few days ago. It has also like this grounded feeling for it. Very character driven. We also have new Captain America, right? Who has military experience and is very strong, but he didn't take the serum, right? He's like superpowers. He's human. I think his biggest superpower is his heart. Sorry if it sounds like a cliche, but it's true and it's beautiful. So I think this combination of having this action, but at the same time having the heart of it, really you feel it when you watch the movie. I think that's what makes it so special and beautiful. And that's something that I'm really looking forward for the fans to watch. Yeah.
What attracted you to the role of Sidewinder?
I was attracted to having the ability to work with some excellent filmmakers who make these kinds of movies. This movie is not only action packed and a geopolitical thriller that is a ride and a half, it also is a film that allows you to think a little bit about human relationships. And for me, Sidewinder was someone that I had to research going back to the comic and realizing what his background was before. Very intelligent man who goes to the darker side of things, which is also always an interesting character for me. But someone who is physical, who may have his roots as a mercenary, he may have been paramilitary, and he knows how to do things and knows how to get what he needs to get. And so those are some of the elements that attracted me to this guy. I also wanted to be able to play with Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America in Sam Wilson. Someone who I think is just so adept and has such integrity in relationship to what he does in regard to playing this role, but someone that we've seen grow through this different incarnations of Captain America he's played, and now we want to see him take over the top spot.
You touched on this a little bit. Well, what motivates Sidewinder, and how did you approach playing him?
Well, I approached it first through what was written on the page. Is it someone who is hiding something, maybe not only working for himself, maybe working in tandem or in concert with someone else, but someone who also has a stake in what we're looking for. And so our film, we deal with a lot of natural elements and minerals in our film that are important to our story, finally revealed. And so for me, I began there, and I looked back at the comic to get information about what kind of human being this might be, and then how to extend this character in between the words that I was given to make him interesting.
You mentioned doing some research. What kind of research did you do for the character?
Oh, I read some comics. I looked up Seth Volker. I found out we were the exact same weight, 158 pounds. I looked at how he was dressed and what colors he had. I mean, the comic is a little bit, a lot different, possibly, than what we see. But there was a grounded nature of this character coming from an intellectual background that I liked a lot. And then so take that human being and have him train himself to become a lethal weapon, became an important idea for me, to nurture while I was working on this particular character.
What was your experience working with director Julius Ona?
I like Julius quite a bit. And when I had ideas, when his character came to me, I was in Mexico City. And so being the head of the Serpent Society is only the head of the Serpent Society, right? It's just words on paper. But I was in Mexico City where they happened to have a great reverence for the snake. And so, as an actor who works on a level of being inspired, not only by the elements that go into making a character, the snake became an element for me in how I move and how I would create the kind of stealth attitude in my mind that Sidewinder has. That inspiration extended to Julius, who is a very good director, and I would say about to be a great director after you see this film, because it's about timing. And so, my inspiration came from Julius in regard to his adjustments in timing. I'm an actor who has played music and uses a metronome, played the saxophone and the piano. Everything is in its own time. And I have my own timing on the set. And so Julius had very simple ways of allowing Anthony and I to either pick up the pace, drop the pace, or think of it as a cat and mouse game. And when you think of something as cat and mouse, you got to think you like the guy you're working with. You like the actor. So it's not, I'm just going to come at him and I want to kill him. It's that his personality I'm taking in. And so Julius, welcomed the attitude that I had in that regard. And so you'll see that the chemistry happens within that. The chemistry between Anthony Mackie and Danny Ramirez happens within that hierarchy where he's the captain, but Danny has talent too, and they share an equal idea that obviously they're on the same side, but your strength is in computers, but he can also do this. And your strength is here, but he can also do this. So those elements of our film are cultivated by the genius of Julius Olna in welcoming them to come about. Also, directors who, are only set on etched in stone, as he's one of the writers as well, to have things said a certain way, but always searching for how to say it better, are directors I really like, because that means they're loose. Maybe try to say this. Maybe try to say this. This works better. This works. That works. All within a couple of takes so you can nail it and move on.
How would you rate your first experience being in a Marvel studio production, and what impressed you most?
I'd rate it as being over the moon. Terrifically exciting. One of the top movies I've ever made with a team as full of integrity and creativity as this Marvel team.
What drew you to the role of President Thaddeus Ross?
Well, you know, I had seen Marvel movies, and I'd seen the wonderful actors that are part of the Marvel universe, and I thought that these guys are having fun, and this could be fun to do. And so I was anxious to have a piece of the pie. And I talked to, I met Kevin. We talked about the potentials. And lo and behold, 2 or 3 years later, they came up with something. And I was delighted by the opportunity.
This is a different characterization of the Thunderbolt Ross than we have seen previously in the MCU. Describe the character that you portray and what makes him different in this time around.
The character that I play was originated by a wonderful actor, Bill Hurt, who sadly is not with us any longer. And I've had the opportunity to build on the foundation that he established for this character. And though there have been pieces of this character have appeared in various Marvel films, but all of that is in preparation to this revelation of the essence of the character, and it's a really entertaining story that I was thrilled to be a part of.
The Red Hulk element of Ross is highly anticipated by fans. What were your initial thoughts when you read about Red Hulk in the script?
Well, I said that I had seen other Marvel films and films that Bill Hurt had been part of, but nothing prepared me for the opportunity to just Hulk out. And my first hulking out is now available for public consumption. I have nothing to compare it with. I can't imagine that there is much to compare it with. But it was fun. And then I got to beat on Anthony Mackie. Extra fun.
So speaking of Anthony Mackie.
And we were.
Yeah. What does he bring to the role of Captain America?
Much more than the last time I met him. In a little film called Hollywood Homicide. And I was reminded by Anthony and several of the journalists that I've spoken to since that we worked together before. But I'd forgotten. Because I'm old and I don't remember things. But we've both come a long way from from Hollywood Homicide.
So what was your experience working with the director, Julius Ona?
I had a lovely time working with Julius. He's really invested in this film. Really takes this opportunity seriously. He's steeped in the myth and lore of the Marvel world, and his guidance, the nuances he made clear that were available was very helpful, very useful. He was a good guide, and I enjoyed working with him very much.
So what do you think fans can look forward to when they see this film?
Well, I mean, there's so much to it. There's so much to reflect on. There's so much to occupy your mind as you go through this film. It's not what it doesn't turn out to be what I would have imagined, but then I don't have this marvelous twist of mind. But it's a spectacular entertainment. It has everything that I understand is anticipated from a Marvel film. Action, fabulous, imaginative things that you could not imagine making manifest actually appear before your eyes, and it's an invitation to imagine a whole new world.
What is the most exciting for you in bringing Sam Wilson as Captain America to the big screen?
I think the most exciting thing for me about bringing Captain America to the big screen is the reintroduction of Sam Wilson. Like it's so exciting that Sam Wilson is a guy who just went out for a jog and he became Captain America. It's like the American dream, you know, it's everything that's wonderful about the world that we live in. And now we get to see him in full regalia at the precipice of his ability, you know, being Captain America. It's just great. That's never happened before. We've never seen it before. And I'm just proud that people get to see him and his full, true ability.
This story has a political thriller tone and is grounded on the basic reality. Why is that important to this franchise and to your characterization of Captain America?
It's very important that Captain America is grounded and, you know, gives more of a human-like feel with being a political thriller and, you know, things like that, because these characters are every man. You know, Sam Wilson never took the serum. So everybody can watch this movie and see themselves in Sam Wilson. He's literally the best part of all of us personified. You know, when you don't have superpowers, you really have to, you know, use yourself. And two words Julius and I would bring up every day was compassion and empathy. And I feel like those two words exemplify who Sam Wilson is.
Sam Wilson is no Steve Rogers, so they say. How does he differ from Steve Rogers, and what stands out about Sam that makes him a great Captain America?
Well, I think with Steve giving the shield to Sam, he saw something very unique, but also he saw a lot of himself in Sam and vice versa. Sam's not having the serum, it makes him more of a human. It makes him more of a compassionate superhero, because when we first saw him, he was a counselor. There's a certain type of person that it takes to put all of your troubles and everything aside to literally focus on someone else and help someone else. He's a caretaker. He's a humanitarian. And I think that's what makes him so different from Steve. He can't use brute force to solve his problems. He has to listen and care and react to the person in front of him, as opposed to going through the person in front of him.
Can you describe Sam's new suit and weaponry?
Sam's new suit is something special. So we went to Wakanda, and Wakanda gave me a new all-out tech-heavy suit, because becoming Captain America, I need to be able to, take those blows, and, I need that extra force, and, the wings need to be more viable in whatever climate we're in. So the Wakandans gave me a new suit, and the tech is something special. The, Red Wing is new. The vibranium in the suit is new in the way it's used. So it's many different parts of it that I can't say. But the suit's new and improved.
What was your experience like working with director Jonas Ona?
My experience of working with Julius was kind of unique, but beautiful at the same time. I mean, 2 days after he got the job, he flew to New Orleans
and we sat for 2 days and just talked about this story, this character, what we wanted it to be and what we wanted it to represent. And what was really unique about him that I really cared about, he's so good with character. Like, he can sit and watch the monitor and he knows what conveys the emotional place of the character so well that he would literally give me notes in a very constructive, specific way. When you do this, it gives me this. So let's try this because I want that, because that will get us to that idea of, you know, who we want this character to be. So just his verbiage and directing and his open, easy heart, like it's fun to be around him.
Tell us about working with the cast.
It really was a treasure, the people that we were able to put together for this. You know, if you look from Shira to Danny, you know, to Zosha, everyone was just so into the idea of this movie and into the idea of Sam being Captain America. You know, Giancarlo Esposito was on my wish list when we first started. You know, Julius asked the question, if no wasn't an answer, who would you get? And Giancarlo didn't say no, you know? So, and I've known him and Tim Blake Nelson for so long. You know, I did a movie with Harrison 21 years ago. It's really interesting how it came together, and we really got, I feel, the best cast we could ask for, because everybody showed up and played fair. Everybody showed up with a certain pep in their step and excitement about this movie. And I think it shows on the screen, and it just made the movie 10 times better.
What was your workout like for this film, and how did it differ from your preparation for your previous Falcon roles at the MCU?
Well, because of the stunt work that we were doing in this movie, my workout program was very different. I usually lift heavy weights and just lift as much as I can, lift the whole gym. But with this one, I did Pilates and yoga. I did a lot of body weight working. I did a lot of, pulley and band work. And I was surprised how different of a workout that was and how different it made my body look and feel. It was really more so the idea of being pliable and being more flexible than being stronger.
So, from your opinion, what can the fans look forward to when they see this film?
I think the fans will be very excited to see, Sam Wilson come to full bloom as Captain America. I think there's something very special about Sam and his ability to identify with everyone as the best part of them. We all see ourselves in Sam Wilson, So I'm just excited for people to see that and see his character and how we've made it into this dynamic, three-dimensional representation of everything that's good.
Thank you.